Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Fearless and Free TV. I trust you all are living fearlessly and letting your light shine so the whole world can wake up and find their own light. Before I bring on our guest for today, I wanted to let all of you know that I have another Transcendence class starting up the middle of September. And if that's something that's interesting to you, hop on over to my website at victoriareynolds.com and get yourself pre-registered for this class. I only have a couple of spots left. This is a class, it's a program that Spirit gave me when I was in the beginning of my own personal awakening. It was a process that was given to me to heal my own life before I even knew I was having a spiritual awakening. And so this is the process that I now help others. And this is all about learning to recognize your fear-based beliefs and working through them so that you can lift yourself up into the highest possible vibration and bring love into your human experience, divine love into your human experience. So hop on over there at victoriareynolds.com, look at the shop section, and you'll find a link toward the bottom for the Transcendence class. And if you haven't already, be sure to pick up the free gift I have there for you. It's my book, Rise Up, and it's all about what's happening in the world right now, with a chapter that's dedicated entirely to terminology. So if there's words you don't understand that are floating around in the world, and especially if you're new to this awakening experience and you don't know what it means, that book will help to guide your way. That's it for now. And I'm going to go bring on our guest for today. Julia Stubbe, like Scooby, as I like to remember it, is a galactic channel, and she's going to be talking to us today about clearing nanoparticles. And I'm super excited to see what she has to say, because this is something that humanity is going to need a lot of help with coming up in the very near future. So let's bring on Julia. Good morning.
Hi, Victoria. Good morning. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing really well.
Your galactic channel. So do you want to explain to my audience what that is?
Well, I channel different beings from different galactics, and let's see how I can explain that. It's mostly light language, but I have what I call my 85 group, and they're all beings of divine love or higher in their vibration or frequency. And what they showed me is these are all past life experiences for me that I've been connected, because in a previous lifetime or several lifetimes, I was more of a mediator between different galactics, so I would translate for them. So when they channel through me, it's like there's like maybe 15 of the 85 sitting around a table, and as they channel through me, my head goes in all these directions, and sometimes two of them are at once, and I'm like this when I'm channeling, and it's vibrational messages for the planet and for the beings of the planet to assist in healing themselves and empowering them.
Wow. Now, I know that a lot of my audience is aware of what channeling is and who the galactics are, and a lot of my audience is kind of new to all this as well. So there's kind of a misperception I've noticed with a lot of the more fundamentalist believers, if you will, that all of this is evil, or anything new age is not from God, that kind of thing. So what kind of answer do you have for them? Because you and I know that this is divine love. This is the Spirit of God moving through each of us who have this capacity. And so what do you answer people when they have that kind of response to your work?
Well, I mean, it's their choice and it's their belief. That's, first of all, I have to honor and respect that. For me, it's like when I first had my group, and when I was first really channeling, I would channel different beings. They weren't necessarily from my 85 group. They were different beings. I have funny stories I could tell you that showed up. But I found out that a lot of times my energy was being drained. And it was like, and it would just like put me over, just over the edge. And it's like, okay, something's not right here. So I connected and I put a clarification that only those beings of the frequency of divine love or higher can participate and utilize me as a channel. And if they're not of that frequency, then they can't. And when I checked in with my 85, there were a couple of them that weren't up to that frequency. So they had to step down, and there was others that took the empty seats, so to speak.
Got it. Yeah, I do the same kind of thing. I think a lot of people who channel need to understand that they need to set specific parameters about who's allowed in your field and who isn't. Otherwise, infiltration comes in.
Yeah, and I'm seeing a lot of people channeling, oh, I'm channeling Jesus, or I'm channeling Metatron. There are a lot of trickster energy out there right now, a lot of illusion that's being something that is something it's not. So a lot of people are really excited just to channel. And it's like, oh, look what I'm channeling. And it's about, look what I'm channeling, as opposed to look what's really channeling through me. And that being of energy. So to use discernment is really, really important. And it's about working with the higher aspects of self, so that when you are channeling, that you just really want to make sure you're connected to source, really anchored into the heart of Mother Earth, so that you truly are channeling the divine messages. Because they're, I see it all the time, and it's like I get a big, well, that's not right, and it's like, and I'm not judging, it's just what my inner guidance is saying. It's like, oh, you don't want to listen to that, because that's a trickster. That's a being pretending to be something else so that it gets its message out there. And it could be just, it's not necessarily a message that's really good for humanity and the planet.
Right. So one of the things that I found, because I set the same kind of intentions and parameters that you set. So for me, when I'm channeling, I see where they are, but the dark side can't use the third eye. Like, it's hard. One, I asked to see their auras.
Mm-hmm.
So with Saint Germain, I always see him in his violet flame. And apparently the dark side can't use colors and visuals the way that the light does, because, well, they can only work in the dark, obviously. But it's like, oh, black and white. That's interesting. That's what I'm hearing. They only see black and white. And then the other thing is that if the message isn't 100% loving.
Correct.
If it's not 100% loving, it is not from truth.
I agree with that. And it's like, I didn't really put it together as far as because I see with my, third eye too, but I'm more clairaudient, but I do see different colors of light when I'm channeling, and I just didn't really put that together, like you said. So thank you for that information.
No, you're welcome. Yeah, that's something I was taught a few years ago. It's one of the ways of being able to tell if you're just hearing something or if there's visuals to go with it. But the best way for me is to listen to the message, and if there's anything in there that talks about blame or resentment or anger or the need for justification, any of that, if it's fear-based at all, it's not from pure love.
Correct.
It's not from truth.
Yep.
A really good way to discern if someone is actually tapped in or not, because if it's from source, it's always loving.
I agree. Absolutely.
Fantastic. So what can you tell us about the nanoparticles? I know you have a program about that.
Yeah, well, there's etheric nano in our body that comes in our etheric fields, and it's okay. So there's that. And from what I've been given, there's also a generator within our etheric field that generates this nano and reproduces it on the etheric level. On the physical level, the nano is coming in through chemtrails, through processed foods, other sources. It could be through different shots, different medications, or things that you're putting into your body, and it comes through. And the nano, for me, I found that the physical, there's actually a generic nano, and there's also what I call a designer nano. So the designer nano is more, it looks for your vibration or your frequency, and then it comes into your physical body. And I had this happen to me probably a year and a half ago, where I had what I thought was like a little red freckle on my arm, but it was bothering me, and it started bleeding. I'm like, what's that about? So I have this salve that I use to remove some of the red moles on my body. And I put that on there. And first of all, my mood had changed. I had gone from full of light, full of brightness to it's like suicidal thoughts. I'm like, where is this coming from? And they said, it's the nano. And I'm like, okay. And then the arm, I'm like, is that nano? And it's like, I got a yes. So because I have control of my own body, I deactivated it. And that my mood changed just like that. And so I put this salve on it. And with this red mole, it just usually removes the mole. But if it's something in there, because it's a really great salve, it pulls like cancers and things, foreign objects out. And it literally left a hole in my arm. It pulled this thing out. And I'm like, okay. And then a couple days later, I spoke to a friend and she was like, I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm just a mess. And I'm like, did you do a nano check? Did you do a nano check? Let's do a nano check. So it's like what I do is I ask for her to like read her body and ask for any nano to light up. And she goes, oh my goodness. And I said, so where are you getting it? And she got it like in the V of her arm, of her elbow. And there was like a little bump there. So we deactivated, which switched her mood just like that. And then she didn't like the hole in my arm. So she used tea tree oil and like a baking soda mix. And she put that on and she saw it moving around. It was trying to get out of it. So that pulled it out. And then from there, I'm like, okay, so let's start doing this nano and like read the nano, have it light up, deactivate it, da, 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 da. And so I was doing that for different people as far as that goes. And then recently, I also do I do a foot bath, which consists of baking soda, borax, Epsom salt, and sea salt, pink sea salt if you have it. And you can add essential oil if you choose to soak and pull the nano out, because that was what I was guided to use. And you can do it as a full bath, or you can do it as a foot soak. Well, my body is not conducive to my bathtub, and my bathtub that I rent, the place I rent, doesn't hold water. So I just do foot soaks. So, okay, so I've been doing that. And then recently I was told that Nano likes alfalfa tablets. Really? I was like, really? So I'm like, let's do an experiment. Let's see. So I got a black light and I was like, okay, because I was going on YouTube and looking for these. Oh, they're doing the whole bath. And it's like, oh, there's so much work. You got to like wipe the tub with this, activated charcoal and really clean. I'm like, and you got to scoop this out. I'm like, that's too much work for me. I'm like, not having that. So I like, well, what would happen if we did a foot soak? And I got because in my mind, I'm still going to try the regular alfalfa talus, but I got the alfalfa talus mixed with the grass. I don't know why. So you couldn't really see anything going on in there because it was floating with this grass and stuff. But and this was my friend that had the other, so she had her bucket there and I had my bucket there. And then we cleaned it out and we put the borax water, the borax baking soda and the sea salt solution in. And we put the black light on and these little, you could see these little chains forming. And you could feel the water moving. And what looked like hairs that weren't big enough for it to show up, that lit up purple, were coming up. But when I did the clearing. So we started the head working down, and it's a magnetic clearing. So it deactivates and attracts. So it pulls it all down to the feet, and what Mother Earth can transmute, great. And then everything else is like down in those lower extremities, so that when you're doing this soak, it's more efficient from what they're telling me. And when I was soaking in the alfalfa, it was like I could feel these things moving through my body, and they were like, the buffet's open, the buffet's open. And they were like, let's get there, let's get there. And it was a really weird feeling when we did do the alfalfa, as far as that goes. But it was really fascinating. And I was like, whoa, black light, to see them forming. And then when they died, they just sank to the bottom, and then nothing glowed under the black light. And I thought about filming it, but I was too fascinated and too.
So is the alfalfa pulling it out of your body? They were jumping out of your body to get to the alfalfa?
I don't think it's pulling them out of the body. It's from what I read and from what I researched is like they feed on it. So it's like they could smell it, they were attracted to it, so they were like trying to get to it. So like whereas the borax and the baking soda and the salts were pulling stuff out of the body, this was like a lure, like an attraction for it.
But they're coming out of the body.
Yes, absolutely.
And it's the water because they're looking for the alfalfa.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, and there were, and
then they died because they don't have a host.
Well, no, what I did was then is we got rid of the water with the alfalfa in it. We put the baking soda and the borax solution in, and that's what really killed them.
Got it.
So I don't know if they die without a host, because we dumped them in the garbage and got them out. So, and I'm thinking in the hot Florida sun of like 102, heat factor, they just disintegrated. But I'm 100% sure, but I just know that once we put it in the borax, you could see the chains forming, because whatever was there at the edge, it still took it, and what was ever in the container was still there as far as any residual. So that was interesting.
That is interesting. I wonder if you can get like an alfalfa oil, like in a sense.
I don't know.
That would be amazing.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Because it is.
I didn't know alfalfa was used for anything except for feeding cows.
Yeah. I got it with the straw because I thought it would dissolve better. I'm going to get the pellets next time to see if I can actually see, because the grass was covering the top and you just got reflection with the black light. But I want to do it with the pellets next time to see if I see anything more happening in there, because I could really feel it in my physical body, and I just knew. And when I do the clearing, it's like everything, I have people who can tune in, either feel it or see it light up. And then as it's deactivating, they see the lights go out, as far as that goes. And we do a couple different scans. We scan it all the way through as far as that goes.
Okay. So what I was sensing this morning, before you and I got on, I just kind of did a quick little tune in. And so I think this is coming up the day we're having this conversation, because I was asking about the arm pokes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that apparently they're created to, they affect the electromagnetic field of the heart. And that's why so many people are having heart issues and blood issues after.
And clotting. Right. I've worked with several people because they had to get the shot. And so I worked with them energetically, that we really went through and we really brought their DNA back to the divine blueprint, which is a little bit separate from this nano clearing. That's something that I work on an individual basis, because everybody's body's different,
right,
as far as that goes. But you can see the difference in people's light who I worked with, who had the shot, and people I haven't worked with. There is a difference there as far as that goes. So I have to, through my belief and trust, energetically, I have to believe that it makes a difference.
So one of the things that you do is help restore people's original divine blueprint?
Oh, yes, absolutely, all the time. It's like, I know.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Because the original blueprint doesn't have any disease.
Correct. So I'm always going back to that. Not only do I do the nano thing, I'm working with this, what I call the sacred ports or sacred portals of the spine. And it's where different energies can come in. I don't have my stuff in front of me, but when we open up that blockages, and then we might, we access the divine blueprint information and allow that to come through that portal for like truth or for manifestation or abundance, and have that come through and work through the harmonics. And then once we get to a certain point, we allow it to activate the keys and codes of your DNA back to that divine blueprint.
That's fantastic.
So that's actually something that you can do a one-on-one with me as part of a session. I'm working on recording them. There's 34 points, and I'm working on recording them so that they're available so people can actually purchase them, just purchase the audio. So it's not a personalized session, but you could, purchase 3 of them and it's affordable so that everybody can have access to it because they're $11 a piece, so 3 for 33, and you can work with them and they can either choose that or I can intuitively select what they're being told to, being guided to use, connecting with source.
Okay.
And that should be available, I'm hoping, in the next 3 to 4 weeks as far as the individual recordings, because it's like, I didn't realize how much work it was when Spirit said, yeah, you got to do it this way. And I'm like, okay. But in the meantime, if you want an individual session, I'm available for that. As far as that goes, you only would need like a 30-minute session, and we could, go through that, and that would be part of your session. It wouldn't be the whole session. You would get additional codes or additional clearings, whatever is guided, because it's like, I never know. I had, I gifted a couple people in a group that I work with, and when I connected with her, she goes, I don't know what to expect. And I'm like, I don't know what to expect either, because it's like, I don't have a preconceived notion of how this is going to unfold. I just know that we anchor into the heart of Mother Earth, we connect with Source, we put your things on the clipboard, and I get out of my own way, and we see what happens, and it's magical every time.
Yeah, because you never know what they need, right?
Our higher self really wants for us,
right? So you work their higher self up through Source, and you don't know what their higher self is going to communicate through you,
right? So I like it. It's always different. It's like it's always a different experience, and sometimes I'm like really surprised, super surprised of the magic and the things that show up, and I'm like, huh. And they'll have me do things a different way. It's like I'll be in the body, and it's like, okay, well, there's something stuck here. And they'll say, okay, let's get out the spiritual WD-40 and spray that in there. And I'm like, okay, whatever that looks like. And so I just don't know. And I don't take myself serious because I'm not doing anything. So I just have fun with it. And I trust it. And, I create a safe container for whoever I'm working with, because one of the stipulations or one of the rules is that nothing outside of you is allowed to come in. So everything you have is within you. Anything we work with is within you already, and we're just awakening it. And so outside entities or outside influences aren't a part of a session when you work with me.
Wow. Yeah. So, you know what? And I have that same kind of experience when I'm working with a client. It's that I never know what it is they need until I sit down and tune in and find out, oh, this is what we're doing today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's like sometimes I get a thing ahead of time, as far as, because I'll sit, a session doesn't start when we connect on the phone, as far as that goes. A session starts from the time you make your appointment and schedule it, because sometimes in the middle of the night, it's like, I have to get up and I have to go write a note, because your source is already connecting with me and saying, remember to do this. Because there was one that I just did this yesterday. I had a session yesterday, and I had to write down, it's like, need to break all contracts in all lifetimes of any quote unquote healers that you've promised not to allow yourself to heal by yourself with, that you've only promised that they can heal you and nobody else can. And I'm like, okay. So I just had to make sure that I didn't forget that, because that came in a couple days before the session. And it's like, for me, it's like, if I don't write it down, it's gone, because it's just a message, as far as that goes. So I just wrote that down, and it was interesting how that unfolded for the session. But there was a lot of other things that showed up that I had no preconceived notion of how it was going to unfold. And I just love that, because it's like, I don't heal anybody. I just really work on myself through dealing with my own stuff from over, 25, 30 years of healing myself and becoming whole, so that my stuff or my quote unquote baggage doesn't show up in your reading or your healing, as far as that goes. And the information comes through. It's purely for you.
I love that you're not calling yourself a healer per se, because that, for me, that's it's just a label, right? But ultimately we're all conduits.
Right. We're all channels. And when you claim to heal somebody, you limit you limit the possibilities of what God, the universe, has to offer. And it's like, and then a lot of times if you claim it, that that's what you're doing, then you take on it. And that's why it's like, I'll never claim it because I want the universe to do its magic. And I don't want any of that stuff in me.
Well, and even Jesus didn't claim that. That's what's interesting. It's like if you go back and listen to what he said, Yeshua, as I prefer to call him, he said, through their own faith, they are healed.
Correct. And it is about belief.
We're just the facilitator.
Yes.
Actually, they are actually the ones doing their own healing.
Yes.
And it's just a matter of getting out of their own way and having the faith to know they can be healed because it's within them. Source working through them, with them, and as them heals all things. And
right. I like to say that I empower others to empower themselves to heal.
Right. Yeah, I was telling someone that a couple of days ago. I'm like, nobody can empower another person. We can, however, remind people of their own power.
Correct.
Right.
Yep.
I love that. And so what else are you up to?
Well, I can tell people about the nano, a little bit more about the nano theory.
I was going to answer that. I'm like,
I'm gonna,
because there's actually, I'm going to put it up on the screen. You actually have a nano program that you work with, right?
Right. Yeah. I'm going to run it the last Sunday of every month. I've staggered the time so that like people in the UK or people on the West Coast or people in Australia have an opportunity. So it's the last Sunday of every month, and it's pay what you feel it's worth. So you choose what you pay, because that's the way I was guided to present it. So this way, if you can, if you think this is worth a lot and you have the capabilities to afford more than less, awesome. But if you can't afford more, but you still are guided to this process, you can afford it, because it's like you can pay what you want as far as that goes. And I'm just really excited about it. So the first one coming up is next Sunday, the 29th, and I believe it's at 2 p.m. Eastern time. And it's through Zoom, and you have to participate live. They told me that we're not recording it because I'm going to be giving information and guiding you through things that might not necessarily, they're not supposed to be out there for anybody just to do without being able to ask questions or really being able to use discernment. So that's why it's not being recorded as far as that goes. And so if you want to sign up for it, I would love to have you sign up, because I just would love to be able to give this out to humanity. And that way you also get experience with the energies and how I work. And who knows?
I love that. So I like to pay what you can, because I know it's being shown that about 2 years ago to teach the way Yeshua taught, which is teach through love and without the expectation. Because sometimes when a price is put on something, there's also some inks that goes with that. So some of my programs I do have a set price for, but like you, this I'm going to start doing something similar in September, which is just a weekly call-in, and it's the term I was being shown to use is love offering. The pay what you can as a love offering of gratitude for receiving and gratitude for being part of the conversation.
Yeah, and that's awesome. Yeah,
it's 5 for some people. It's 2 for some people. It's 20. It's whatever they feel guided to contribute in an energetic exchange. And I think what that also does is it allows people to start really learning how to get in touch with their own voice. What is their own voice telling them?
Right.
Absolutely. Getting out of the ego, the ego and the fear of what can I afford to pay, which is actually a fear-based term.
Yeah, because I'm actually asking them, whatever this is worth to you, whatever value you want to put on it, that's the direction I'm going as far as that goes.
Yeah. So it takes them out of the fear of having to afford it.
And if they are at a point where they can't pay, then if they want to put $1 in, it's like, I'm okay with that. It's like, because to me, it's like whoever shows up is getting the benefit of this. it's raising their vibration and frequency, which in turn raises the vibration frequency of everybody else around them. So it's like that ripple is it's priceless.
Right. And so even if it's $1, it's still an energy exchange. There's still
Yep.
an exchange that takes place because the law of reciprocation requires there be some kind of exchange. But it doesn't have to be a huge amount of money. It can be just that exchange of what I call gratitude for service.
Correct.
So if they feel grateful for what they've received from you, then whatever they feel guided.
Yeah, and you can that way if they want to come back every month, because we're exposed to this stuff every day. So it's like, and because I channel it, I'm pretty sure it's not going to be the same every month. It's just going to be whatever that group needs is the way I'm going to be guided to facilitate. And I'm excited. I also have the other thing that's coming up, which I don't have a link to, but it'll be on my website soon, is I'm participating in the Emerge virtual retreat. I'm one of the speakers, and that is on September. I have to look it up because I wasn't ready. That is on September 18th. The retreat is the 17th and 18th. And I'm going to be actually in that. It's a 30-minute presentation, and I'm going to be clearing the AI overlay of the chakras. That's the artificial intelligent overlay of the chakras, and activating the organic chakras. So, and that's a free event if you participate live as far as that goes. So check out my website. We're still getting information with all the links. So I would say within the next 5 to 7 days, there should be something up on my website about that. Currently, I'm still waiting for the organizers to give us stuff, but it's like it's coming along, and there's going to be other participants, other speakers, and facilitators that you can take advantage of. So,
okay. So do you have like a way of gathering emails if they want information on that? Do you have a?
Yeah, if you go on my website, you can either go to contact me. I would do that. Contact me that you want specific information about that, and say I heard you about the Emerge retreat. I want more info, and then once I get the info, I'll send you a message and the link to the page that it's on, so that you can go to it. If you just go to my general email, if you just would add that, it's like I'm not sure when you would get that, because to be honest, it's like I'm not really good at sending emails out. I'd like to think I am, but I'm not. It's like, oh, I just sent this. Oh yeah, you sent it 3 months ago. It's like, so I'm working with somebody who's supposed to help me with that, but I'm not sure which direction that's going. I've asked for the universe for support for actually getting me out there and marketing, because it's not where my magic is, but my magic is facilitating and touching people's lives, and that's what I love. So it's like, for me to have the opportunity to talk to you about it, yeah, I'm good with that. But you want me to put it in an email? Say what?
No, so the reason I asked, like, I have on my website and let people know I send out a weekly or so newsletter. Because sometimes I set the intention for it to be once a week, but sometimes it's every couple of weeks. And like you, there was a time when it was 6 months here. And
yeah, I want to get better at it. That's my goal. So if anybody, it's like, if anybody has any pointers, it's like, let me know. I'm actually working with somebody who, we're just in the beginning stages, and she's trying to feel me out, but it's like, we'll see what happens. because I just would think it's going to be interesting to really be able to market me, because I don't really even know how to describe what I do, because I don't do anything. So how do you describe that? How do you present that as far as that goes?
Well, I think there are a lot of people who are in that situation, because so many people's spiritual gifts have been activated.
Mm-hmm.
And then how do we present this entirely new skill set, I guess, to the world, because it's something that is so new for a lot of people. So I've been around this for about 10 years. I've been doing this for about 10 years. And there was that that first wave of awakening that happened after the 2008 recession, but there's a whole slew of people that are just now waking up.
Absolutely.
Starting to look for these kinds of teachers and healers for, or facilitators, if you will.
Facilitators, yes.
And that then how is it that you get your message out there and differentiate yourself from the other people who are doing similar work? So I get it. And I think there's a lot of us who just need to get together and maybe heartstorm on that. How can we support each other more effectively, so that, because we have completely moved out of the world of competition. Competition is a total 3D thing.
Right. And those that are in it, it's like they've lost, they have the potential of losing that piece of their heart when it becomes, I don't want to judge and say that they have, but they have that potential to lose that piece of their heart, where it's like, I had someone I was working with, and she's listened to me on my YouTube channel, because I have a lot of processes and meditations and stuff. And when she connected with me, she goes, I just feel your integrity. And I was like, whoa, that like made my heart go. I'm actually getting emotional with it now. It's like somebody recognizes that. Somebody really recognized it, because that's the place I want to be from, is that place of divine love and integrity. And the fact that somebody acknowledged it and recognized it was like, I don't have words, because it was like, it blew me away, because it's like, I didn't really expect that from her, but I also just didn't really notice it, that if anybody really noticed it. So it was like Source saying, hey, we do recognize it. They do recognize it. So keep doing what you're doing, and doing it the way you're doing it.
Yeah. So for me, what we were saying about with competition, that they lose that part of their heart. My understanding is that the higher heart hasn't been activated. So they're only working with the lower heart energies, which is loving what you do, and and creating and enjoying your work. But it's that higher heart of unconditional love.
Mm-hmm.
And what Source was explaining to me is it's loving what you do and loving who you do it for. That's part of the missing piece. That's the higher heart. When the higher heart says, I love who I do this for.
Yes.
And competition ceases to exist, because we realize, we all do similar work. How can we figure out how to cooperate and create a win-win-win, a win for ourselves, a win for each other, and a win for those we're here to serve? And that what I was being shown a while back is that competition is 3D. Collaboration, collab was like the new buzzword that started showing up at around 2012, is 4D, and cooperation is 5D. So, and it requires a very unconditionally loving capacity to be able to work in cooperation, because you have to have an open heart and an open mind, and this open capacity to understand that none of us are in competition with each other. We all ultimately, we're here for the same purpose and the same goal of moving humanity into a new ascended reality. And that competition and even collaboration kind of go aside. Collaboration basically means working side by side. So it's two people who like cross promote each other. That's collab. Co-op is actually working together for mutual purpose. So, and that takes completely different, the higher heart and the higher mind to be activated, to be able to work together to that degree. So there are a lot of people who won't be able to move into that yet, but moving out of competition into collaboration is a great step in the cooperation direction.
Yeah. And one of the things that I do, like I do a group every, like 4 times a year. I have another one coming up October 14th, which I only have one spot for, because we only do 8 people, but I have return, students who come back to it each time. And it's because I teach them everything I know. It's like, I don't just do things for them. I teach them how to do it for themselves. So I give them the tools to empower them, and then they can use it on their clients. And it's like, well, why do you give, and I heard somebody say, why do you give all that away? And I'm like, I'm not a secret squirrel type of girl. It's like, for me, it's like, I want to empower them so they can empower others. It's like, it's not about me. It has nothing to do with me. This is what I'm guided to do. And like you use, the divine, the higher heart and the higher mind. I use the divine heart and the divine mind as far as that goes. And it's like, so we activate that. And it's like, so I teach them whatever I know. If I get new information, I had a friend of mine, she didn't believe in herself. It's like, because she was gifted, and another friend of hers said, well, you know how to do it. And because she asked, well, how? She goes, well, I don't know how to do it. So I just worked with her and said, well, try this and try that. And now she's got confidence, and she is doing it because she could always do it. She just really didn't have the steps, and she didn't have somebody to show her exactly the direction. And the information I got was that other person didn't want her to really go past her or expand. So she didn't show her the way. She just said, well, you know how to do it. You're just being lazy because you don't. So she was like condescending and everything to make her feel bad about herself. Whereas it's like, well, if you don't get it this way, let's try it that way. And it's like, let's see what source wants to do. Because maybe you just see things differently, as far as that goes. And just see, get out of my own way so that they can blossom, because it's like, wow, I just want the magic for everyone. I just want everybody to feel that magic and experience that magic, and to be able to have their ripples be magical. And I just like magic. I just like it all.
I do too. Magic and sparkles. Yeah, and I love that. And that's the reason that I have you here, because for me, it's the same thing. How can I help to facilitate creating a better world for everyone?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's not, I don't do what I do to make money. I do what I do to be of service to humanity. And yes, there needs to be some kind of financial exchange, because I, need to eat and feed my family.
I'd like to eat too.
Right? So there does need to be a financial exchange for everyone to win. But it's not about the money. And I think that's what the difference is. Some people do the work for the money, and this is different. It's doing the work for the love of the people and the planet.
Correct.
And that when you do what you love and love who you do it for, the money follows. And not even follows. It's a reciprocation. It's like I call it our divine inheritance, where Source says, great, here is your reward for doing this service.
Yes, you get to eat sushi this week.
Yeah. And so I like divine inheritance. We're doing our work and we receive our divine inheritance, rather than looking at it as working for the money. And it's still in our present physical reality, it's still money. It's still that. Yeah,
it's a tool. It's just a tool right now.
Yeah, it's just that's how we're presently exchanging.
Mm-hmm. But I exchange.
Outgrow it, but right now.
Yeah, but I like to exchange things for other services too. Like it's like, I'll facilitate a session, for marketing help, as far as that goes, and be able to do that where, as far as that goes. And it's like, well, what do you think this is worth? How much, of marketing can you do for a session? What do you think? And it's like, so I give them the opportunity to decide what their time's worth compared to what my time's worth, and, go from there. And so it's like,
yeah, I love that. I love that energy exchange. I did that with one client where I got facials in exchange.
Yeah, my massage therapist. I do that with my massage therapist. Yes. So I put her on the biomat, put these crystal rings on, run a little energy with her. The last time she was here, we actually we put her feet in the alfalfa for the nano thing, and I did the alfalfa clip. She goes, this is really weird. This is really wild. I'm like, yep, this first time you're coming here, you're not on my biomat. I said, but awesome. It's like, this is what you wanted. So, I don't know. I'm just grateful to be able to facilitate for others as far as that goes, and to be able to have humor and divine love, and just be in that space and be grateful, and to be able to have contact with you and others like you. And so anyway, I'm grateful. Thank you.
I am grateful. Very, very grateful. I mean, it's soul family. We're soul family. All of us magical people. So where in the world are you located?
Currently, I'm physically located in Florida. I moved here from Pennsylvania over 7 years ago. Would you like to know how I got to Florida from Pennsylvania?
Yeah, I was just in Pennsylvania. I went to Hershey with my son.
Okay, I'm familiar with that. So 9 years ago, I was working in corporate. I was a database programmer. And on the weekends, quote unquote, I would put my Batman tights on and I would facilitate healing at this place where my massage therapist, I would go and use a room there. So Spirit came to me and said, okay, it's time to sell your house, quit your job, and wear your Batman tights all the time. And I'm like, seriously, dude? And I said, okay, so where am I supposed to go? And they didn't care where I went. I found out why later. And I'm like, okay. And so I folded a map of the US in quarters and I doused it with a pendulum and I ruled out the northern part and I got the southern part. And then I got down to 9 states. And then I got down to New Mexico and Florida. And I chose Florida because I knew one person in Florida. And Florida had Aldi's. Sorry, I just like Aldi's. And New Mexico didn't. And that's how I ended up here. And now I'm being guided to move again. I'm still not 100% sure, but I'm 95% sure that North Carolina is on my horizon in the mountains. They want me to be in a less populated area where that I can really work on healing myself with nature and be in nature more, which I'm not really able to do where I'm at right now. They say that what I've done here, why I've been in Florida, that is complete, and that it's time for you or me, however you want to say it, to be in a more blissful place. So the reason they had me move out of Pennsylvania is because of the level of empath I am. They said that the ley lines there, the fear and the emotions of the planet were coming up through there, and I physically wouldn't have survived it if I stayed. So, and that's what's happening kind of where I am now. It's really intense. It just can be a little more intense than it has been over the last couple of years, and that's why they want me to go to the mountains, because there it's like it won't be as intense for me, but I can still facilitate for others there.
Right, that's what I was seeing. I was seeing you facilitating. It might even be in person, like a facility where you facilitate. Duh.
Yeah, it might show up that way. Yeah, it might show up that way, and it's like as far as that goes, and more, so I'm just open to it. They also showed me that the possibilities of more relationships and more like-minded beings will have the opportunity there as well.
Yeah. Well, that's beautiful. And you can go and really connect with Earth and your heart to her heart and connect with Source and not have
and do it outside and just
noise. Yeah, it's what I'm seeing as noise. It's like this just pure connection.
Mm-hmm. I just love it. And the mountains, like it's just, I have a friend that lives near there up on her mountain, we call it, and it's like just her and I would be able to like venture out and do things like, and check things out and like have each other's energy fields as far as that goes, to be able to keep it in check, because we're both really sensitive. So when you have more than one, it like creates that more of a bubble as far as that goes. So any incoming quote unquote comes through, it's like you have each other's back as far as energetically goes, and you don't have to be so constantly on the edge or aware as far as that.
But it's reminding of what I say, the saying of where 2 or more are gathered, magic happens.
Mm-hmm.
And so
I love that.
Yeah. So it's if we can have other people around us who are on that same frequency and set the same intentions, then really extraordinary things can happen. And well, that sounds exciting for you.
I'm excited too. Yes.
Well, hey, we have to run. Our time is up, but I wanted to thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing who you are and the work you're doing in the world and who you are being on behalf of humanity, and these wonderful gifts that you're bringing through to help humanity heal from the stuff. It's another word that starts with an S, but
yes, lots of stuff.
Healing from the stuff, helping them clear from their their personal etheric field and their physical field. And as we know, mind, body, heart, and spirit, it's all interconnected, and being able to clear from the fullness of their being everything that does not belong specifically to them is, as we know, it's invaluable to having a more a better human experience.
Absolutely.
So, well, thank you so much for being here. Thanking everyone for listening and for watching. Go to Julia's website, find out what she's got going on. I have a feeling I might have a session with her as well, because I'm very curious. I'm always curious. If I haven't had a session with someone I've interviewed, I want to have a session to experience what it is that they're teaching. And so, as always, remember to hold your light so high others can't help but see their own light. And get bold, be fearless, and live free. Mwah. Be sure to hop on over to my official website at victoriareynolds.com and pick up your free gift, and check out all the other goodies that I have there for you.